Hey, y'all, it's Ashley Canott.
And I'm Blair Nodine, and we're Joy in the Junk.
The podcast where we bring our whole selves to the table.
Mess and all.
And find Jesus right in the middle of it.
We're two women seeking truth in Scripture, hope in the hard places, and joy that doesn't wash away when life gets muddy.
So pull up a chair, grab your coffee or sweet tea, and let's talk life, faith, and all the junk in between. Because with Jesus,
there's joy that lasts. Hey guys, it's Joy in the Junk. Welcome to the table. We're glad you're here. Hey, we have a guest with us. We are so excited.
Yes.
Hey, yes. Tammy Edwards, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm so glad you're here. You're sweet. You're so sweet. We are, Becky talked with us last month, and we are so excited that Tammy from Anchor of Hope is going to talk to us too, a little bit about her ministry and what she does. But first, we're going to talk about Joy's, and Ashley and I are putting Tammy on the spot and letting her go first.
We've nominated you.
My Chloe is I get to spend the afternoon with you two ladies and get to tell everybody about Anchor of Hope. I always get excited to tell people about it.
It's a great.
You get to break stereotypes with that.
Oh, that's a good answer. Mm-hmm. My Joy, I will say, I love the sunshine. I do. I'm so excited to have the sunshine back. I am crazy about this. I'm not crazy about this cold stuff that's coming up, but I do see people's faces get brighter when the sun's out. When spring comes, there's something about people's, and I don't want to say people are negative and have bad attitudes in the winter, but I will say people are a lot more positive right now. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, even people at the grocery store, I was so shocked. I mean, people are usually hustling, bustling, and everything else, and people are being a little bit sweeter right now. So I pray that's what it is, the springtime. So pretty lame, but that's my joy this morning.
I don't know what my joy is right now. Is that bad? Like, I got a lot, but I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm just a little like here lately, like this time change messed my whole sleep schedule up. And I'm kind of enjoying sleeping in a little bit later than I probably should. And I'm happy about it. Am I getting anything accomplished? Absolutely not. But maybe my body needs that rest. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I like people's attitudes being better.
Yeah. And my joy too is probably that today I didn't wake up with a migraine. I woke up with a migraine Monday.
Yay.
Yeah.
So no migraine today.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, let's get to it. I want to tell you, I'm going to let Tammy introduce herself, but I want to tell you how I met Tammy. I was at Lake Bowen Baptist Church, and Tammy and her husband, y'all always sat on the front row on our side, didn't you? Yes, and ma'am. I say our side like it was my church, but the side that I sat on, because you know how us Baptists are. But you sat in front of us, you and your husband, and you always had somebody different with you at church, except Brittany. Now, Brittany always sat with you, but you always had somebody different at church. But where it really hit home is when Darius and Patience came. Do you remember when they came?
Of course.
I know. How can you forget those two? But anyway, Ashley, they live in the Unhoused community. And so they wanted to get married. They had been living a life that was not of God, and they wanted to get married. So they got married at our church. Oh. And our Sunday school class got to do the wedding cake. Remember, it was purple and white. Mm-hmm. But watching Tammy, and I don't know how long you had been in ministry at that time, but I don't know how long Anchor of Hope had been going, but that's where I met you. I have never had so much fun watching people serve like you do. It's just fun to watch. And I was so excited to go out and help her. That didn't work. I couldn't do it. All I do is I cried. We prayed. Remember the day we prayed over the food? Mm-hmm. I couldn't even pray. I was crying so hard. So I knew it was not what I was supposed to do, but I knew I could pray for your ministry. So.
Well, we need people like you to pray for us. That's what keeps us strong. That's what keeps the ministry going, I say. Definitely.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Anchor of Hope.
Well, Anchor of Hope started basically in October of 2023, and it started from a ladies' Bible group that we had meeting here at my home, and we was looking for a project to do outside. I'd help people off and on, but nothing like an outreach, just something my personal self. So when we found out that we could actually do this and go out and help people, it kind of excited me. We started with Miss Mary. Not Miss Mary from our church. This is another lady that's in the ministry. and she let us come and serve a couple of times, and I fell in love with it. And so Angelique and I actually started out at the very beginning, but it ended up, she had some health issues, and it kind of took her away. So God provided, He provided a spot for me. So it wasn't intimidating at all, at the beginning. But then, you kind of realize there's a little bit more than preparing food. So
For sure. So when you do, and I know how your ministry kind of works, you feed it everybody at one place,
mm,
correct?
correct.
And I remember Clyde Gilbert comes and I see that we see the live videos. He's sharing the message. How does that go?
Oh,
How do people find you?
that goes, how do people find us?
Mhm.
Okay, you can go to anchorofhope.com to find us. But as far as like out on location, we meet
Mhm.
every Friday at 5:30, and through the years, it's changed the locations, but right now we're meeting at 406 Stevens Street, which is across from the City Police Department, right there at Miracle Hill Missions.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
it wasn't kind of my choice to move. We were very comfortable where we were, you know how it gets. But God had a bigger plan for us. And so we've been there just a couple weeks, and we've prayed over the place, and we've fed there once, and it was so at home when we done it. I felt like that was where we should have been the whole time,
Oh, good.
because we're in the heart of the city, and a lot of people wouldn't come to the church, you know. When you're not living how you should, sometimes it's hard to go to the church.
Oh,
So I think it gives us another opportunity to serve others that wouldn't be willing to come to the church property due to how they may feel, kind of guilty a
right.
little bit.
Never thought of it that way. Never thought about wanting to come to a church. That's a good point. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't go that way. I didn't go that way.
Well,
So,
it took us moving for me to see that. I didn't see that at
okay.
first.
Gotcha. 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 Well, what are some of your biggest fears with this ministry?
Failing. But I know God's with me. Um, I was a stay at home mom for 20 years. So I didn't have any expertise in this or any experience, just a passion. And God's made a way. I like to say that it's just about, making some dinner and taking it on a Friday afternoon. But, you got to worry about funding, and you've got to worry about compliances and things that I never knew anything about. But through His grace, He has given me the knowledge and the wisdom that I've needed. And I didn't cook for no more than maybe 6 raising kids. So when you had to learn how to cook for 80, that definitely was a big learning point for me. But God gave me Miss Toby. She helped me out so much because she had a lot of expertise in that department too. And He's just provided the people for me. He really has. Joe White's really been a big mentor for me through it all, because he had the nonprofit um, executive director expertise with it. So I
Right.
learned a lot from him. So he's been
Yeah.
a huge lesson in it all.
That's
And then like
awesome.
Owen, their support has been tremendous, as you said, Pastor. When we met Zarius and Patience, they were wanting to get married, and he done counseling with them and just opened his heart and opened the church, and it was just beautiful. That's why
Mhm.
I wasn't I was in church at another location, and I loved that location, but I just felt God drawing me as much as, Pastor was willing to just work with us, and they've always been a blessing. They've always supported us so much. They really have. I don't know
For
where
sure.
I'd be without them.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I get it. You got
That's
a question, Ash?
how do you feel like, I know when you told us about how you got started, but how do you feel like this has changed you personally since you've been doing this?
Well, he's been working on my patience in all of this. And I've had to learn to let go too. That's been very hard for me. I love to be in control of things. And when you don't know something about what you're doing, you're trying to get as much knowledge as what you can. And then, just sometimes I just got to give it to him and just give it to him and say, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing. Like last year, I stressed a lot over the funding of it aspect. And, grant writing's not really in my wheelhouse, but he made a way, even though I didn't do anything. We finished out with our donations almost doubling from the very first year.
Oh,
And
wow.
February of last year, I just said, Lord, this is your ministry. It always has been. And if it's going to happen, it's going to have to be through you because I can't do it. And he made a way. He made a way. And like I said, practically doubled it from the year before. So,
It's
and
amazing.
when you're, ignorance is just a lack of knowledge. When you're ignorant to the fact of what you're not doing, you know, um, it takes somebody to say, you know, you getting that grant and not even soliciting for it, or you getting money from here and there. You don't understand what a big deal that is until you talk to somebody else. So I guess ignorance is bliss, because it keeps you humble. You
For
think
sure.
you didn't understand that, that was such a huge blessing that you didn't solicit for anything, that somebody seen what God was doing through your ministry and wanted to help and support you. So it's been a huge blessing, and it's taught me to definitely trust him, definitely, and
Well,
let God.
I think too, like you see, like I heard you say numerous times, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't, a lot of times God calls us to do things and
Mm,
we have no clue how to do it. We have no clue what we're supposed to do. He's just telling us to do it and we have to trust him and we have to say, I'm going to walk in that. And it's such a testimony of obedience to you because you're like, I
mhm,
didn't know how to cook for these people. I didn't know how to write grants. I didn't know how to do all this stuff. But when you walk in obedience, God, that old saying, he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, is so true because you're living proof of that as I sit here and just listen to you talk, how God has provided and made a way for things and did things for you in this ministry when you had no clue what you were doing. And that right there is a testimony to the power of the Lord for sure.
Well, he's definitely made a way. He's made it bigger than what I ever dreamed that it would ever be. It's kind of an inside joke that we started up and we were just putting stuff on paper, and we thought it wasn't going to last but just a couple of months or something. And this past February, it's been 2 years, and we've never lacked. That's what I'm going to say. We've never lacked in our funding. We've never lacked in places to go and people to talk to and things to share with people. And there's just a need for it. I never realized the great need for it. And that's where it originally come from was, our soup kitchen does a tremendous job at feeding them every day at lunchtime. But in the evenings they were going to bed hungry. And that just broke my heart. And we live in a world of abundance. I don't know
mm,
about y'all, but I'm spoiled rotten and I have a lot of
mhm.
things. When you go, you see they don't have anything, and you go to your house and you see you've got blankets and pillows and things that you can give them, just bridge that gap. I mean, nothing special about what I did. You just see that what people need and what we have in abundance, and put those two people together.
What would you say are some of the because I remember saying the word homeless with Tammy, and she says, "You mean the unhoused?" I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember. We were standing out in the foyer, and I said that, and she said, "You mean the unhoused?" And I said, "Yes." What's a misconception that maybe people that don't understand those that are unhoused?
That it can happen to you.
Right.
I think that's the misconception. I think we all walk around and we think that it'll never happen to us. And, I've met some people whose child got sick and they couldn't work no more. And if you don't got income coming in and, some things to cover, we don't have policies that says when your kid gets sick, we're going to pay you bills. There's nothing like that. If a death happens, you've got that life insurance, hopefully, that you can fall back on. But when somebody gets sick like that, I mean, you've got somebody that's wanting your money, and you've got somebody that's sick that needs you, so you can't go to work. And I just know a lot of them that's in that situation. And we also have a lot of failed systems. I know a lot of children. Zarius is one of them that
Mhm.
was a product of our system. Their parents didn't keep him, and he was put in a lot of foster homes, which was he wasn't treated the best.
Mm.
And on his 18th birthday, he was dropped off at Miracle Hill with no driver's license, no Social Security, and you just make your way in life, and that's sad. That's
Yeah.
sad. You
Yeah.
know, on your
It
18th
is.
birthday to realize that. So And the thing about them that I think is such a blessing to me is that, they remain hopeful. They constantly remain hopeful. When we done 48 hours on the streets, me and my people, the first 24 hours was okay. But the last 24 hours, I struggled. I struggled to stay hopeful, even though I knew I was going home, you know,
Yeah.
to everything that I had. It's just hard. People treat you differently. They ignore you. They don't look you in the eye. It's just a difference. And you see these people who has been doing this for years, trying to get out of this. And each week they show up every week smiling, and they have something that they look forward to. And I think that has opened my eyes that, they can find the smallest little blessings. We should be able to too.
Tell me a little bit about this. This intrigued me. This 48 hours on the street.
Oh,
Tell me about that.
I'm going to
It's
interject before you
crazy.
start talking. Before you start talking, let me interject as I cry. I was petrified when they were doing that. Not for their fear or anything else. Well, that's not true. That's an exaggeration. But I thought, I just don't want her to do that. I just didn't want her to do it. And that sounds like I'm being judgmental and everything else. Whatever it is, I didn't want her to do it. And of course, I knew she'd do it better than anybody else. But that was, I remember wholeheartedly when we prayed for you hard for that. Sorry.
And hey, we come out on the other end
I know.
great. It was
I know.
beautiful. It was an experience. I can't go and take care of people that I don't know what they're going through.
Right.
You got to learn what their struggles are. And I couldn't think of a better way than to do 48 hours on the streets.
Mhm.
Um, I don't personally like it, because I love the comforts of my home. But it opened our eyes a lot just to see what their struggles is. I found it really hard to rest at night. A lot of
Mm.
times you'll see them sleeping on park benches and stuff like that. Let me just say that, it's hard to lay down and go to sleep at night. And when people can just walk up to you, so they're
Oh, yeah.
constantly always looking over their shoulder and their back. And in the daytime, when people's awake and there's light, we live by that light.
Mhm.
Um, it brings comfort, and they sleep in places. So then, then we have our city officials who don't particularly like that. So, it's just this vicious cycle. And I think a lot of it's a lot of misunderstanding. And that's what I really would love to do. I know some of my volunteers, I'm not going to call them by name, told me that they would walk on the opposite side of the street whenever they'd see homeless people. And now
Mhm.
they go up and ask them, how's your day? Is there something I can pray for you? Are you hungry? Um, it just changed their whole outlook on who they are, because regardless of how you feel, God created them. They are
Mhm.
His children.
For
They
sure.
might be His lost children that's looking for your gospel. So careful how you act,
Mhm.
because I'm going to say people have been really ugly to them. And you have to fight against that, because it's hard to get them to trust you, because they want to know what your ulterior motive is. Why are you here? And you just got to build trust with them. But
And I think with you, because of my testimony and where I've been, anybody that's been incarcerated, I'm the one that bullies up to people, because I don't want anybody picking on somebody that's been incarcerated. So I certainly see where you're coming from on that. Do you have any fears?
no, God's got me. I've had a lot of people ask me, do you not get scared? I'm a concealed weapons holder. I could take a gun, but I've never taken a gun. Um, that's a big stickler for me. When people
Mhm.
volunteer, I always want to know, do you ever feel unsafe? Have you ever felt uncomfortable? And fortunately, none of them have ever said that. None of them. Now, I have had to disperse situations that kind of get heated, and it's usually, I'll be honest, it's usually when um, our officials are going around kind of aggravating them. Like I said, they're kind of in the parks and stuff. And when they start getting trespassing warnings and stuff like that, they can't lash back out at the police. So then they kind of come to us, and everybody's kind of in a bad mood. But, you know, we need order. I really don't know how to solve this problem. I rack my brain constantly, but you just got to build relationships with them because they don't trust everybody that comes up to them. And once they understand that you've got good intentions, you know, they'll let their guard down. So you never know what's
I
put
think
that
that's
person here.
well, I think that's with any of us. I mean, we all put up those walls. You don't have to be unhoused to put up those walls. And I see where and I'm sure their insecurity is obviously, because of their situation. But I think obviously, as you've been doing this for as long as you have, your name is on the streets. And so they know if Miss Tammy's coming, then whoever's with Miss Tammy's pretty got to be okay. So I think
Yeah.
you've built that rapport over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I have. I have. But I won't say that we've not had situations that I've not had to make them kind of quit arguing amongst each other.
Hmm.
Some of them we've had to walk off of the property that we're at, but usually they come back and they apologize and say, Miss Tammy, it wasn't nothing towards you. I wasn't mad. It was just something they were going through that day, and something just happened, and that was that they just lashed out. So I don't ever hold it against them, and they know that I'm speaking love. But I do ask lots of volunteers and all the other unhoused to come there. So it is my responsibility to kind of make sure everybody's safe, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
and we give
You
that to God, definitely.
you talked a little bit about, you didn't know how to fix the problem, but in doing this over the last few years, what has given you the most hope? What have you seen that goes, man, that gives me hope for the unhoused community?
I see programs being started up. I see people talking. As long as we got talk, we got solutions that's going to come because that's where it comes from. It's people talking. And I'll tell you my little thing that the Lord's working on me here lately. I'm not one to collaborate one. I don't know much about collaborating. I raised three boys at home, so I stayed at home. I didn't have much adult conversations. It was always with children. So lately, he's been opening doors to give me opportunities to collaborate, and I'm kind of skeptical about it sometimes myself. You can call me like the homeless. I want to know where your intent is coming from because I've found in this nonprofit sector that I'm in, not everybody's wanting help. It's more of a job, and this isn't a job to me. I don't get paid one red cent to do what I do.
Mhm.
The Lord provides me the blessings, and we go with that. And I know a lot of them say, well, you should take an income, but the way I look at it is whatever income I take out, that's less stuff that we can buy for them. So if I can cut corners, we're going to cut corners. Like right now, I'm sitting out in my little shop out behind my house, and that's where the outreach building is because I don't want us to have rent. Rent is so expensive. And my husband and I was talking about that last night, and I said, I know we're growing. I know we need a bigger place, but for the life of me, we've got so much property up here and other buildings and stuff that we can use that, if that $2,000 a month rent that we would have to pay somewhere, I can buy tents and I can buy sleeping bags and we can buy more food and we can get clothes. There's just so many other things that we can get with that money that I just don't, I don't think that anybody should take a salary, but I know that the world works on money. That's what my husband says, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
truly went into it not thinking that it's a nonprofit. I shouldn't get no profit off of it. So,
and let me give you a little bit of encouragement from the collaboration side. And this comes from a business side. I kind of was like you in the beginning when it came to collaborations and especially people that maybe do the same thing that I do. I was like, ooh, that's not good. But I will tell you, you're so much stronger together and collaboration over competition every day. So if you've got somebody that's willing to collaborate with you and they check out, and sometimes you're taking a gamble on that from a nonprofit side, but listen, use those resources because we're better together than we are trying to do things separate a lot of times. And but your heart's in the right place, and I know that. But I've been in your shoes from a business side where collaborating with people can seem a little uneasy and you kind of question it, but I've seen the benefits of collaboration for years, going on 5 years, and it's insane. I wish I would have done it from the very beginning,
I'm
honestly.
probably going to be like
Mhm.
you. I'm going to be like, I could have done so much more if I
Yeah.
just would have put that guard down. My thing is, I just don't want to be a burden on people. I didn't start this to kind of like, give me this, give me that, and we need this, and we need. I'm real particular about that. I don't like to ask for the money. As I said,
Me
God's
either.
always kind of provided it. So I just sometimes feel like that when I'm in that situation, that it might be that I'm being a burden. So God's working on that. It's kind of
I
been
was going to say,
icky
well, and
lately.
that's, I mean, you are doing a great thing in your ministry, but God's got to grow you in it too. I mean, he's got to round some of your edges off, because we all have those sharp points,
Mm-hmm.
that we do. And I also know that they are literally your children. I mean, I don't care if they're 70 years old, they're still your children. And so you put those, you wrap your wings around them and think, well, nobody can touch them. Well, that we have to let God do what God does. But I
That's
get
foolish.
And
To think
also,
that I can protect them like that.
also, you have to think that there's a lot of businesses out there that maybe their intentions aren't always great. They're just wanting to like get rid of some money, from a tax perspective. But they want it. But also, there's ones that are their intentions are great, and they're willing to give money for things like what you do. So don't be afraid to ask. Listen, what scripture say? You ask and you'll receive. So
Amen.
you can't expect to get sometimes if you don't ask. And yes, of course, pray and all that, but don't be afraid to jump out there, because I think there's a lot of people that would be willing to help, because you have an established business. You are established and you've been doing this for a while, and you've built those relationships. And I think so many people would be willing to pour into Anchor of Hope for sure.
I remember when you got the bus.
We've got two now.
I know. I saw the pictures. I did. Listen, I stalk you on Facebook. I see all those pictures. I see Tony and Dana and Vicky and everybody serving. Yeah. And Susan. Oh my gosh. She's in all of them. She's there too. So
I want to help serve one night. I want to come help.
Okay, well, come on.
Yeah, listen, you're great. I cry. I really did. I will tell you the story. When she was at the church cooking, and Toby had brought I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was at the church, and I knew I couldn't go to the feed, so I went there with Tammy, and we're praying over. We're in the bus. We're praying over the bus, right? And then we went inside to pray over the food. Listen, Tammy had to wrap her arms around me. I was crying so hard. That is not helpful in what she does. So Tammy had to love on me instead of me loving on her for her ministry. But I mean, I've gotten to see firsthand, especially the wedding with Zarius, and he has a disability also. He'd had a stroke, correct? So
at the age of 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, was he? I didn't know he was that young when he had that stroke. But all the things that I've watched you do, has there ever been a time where you just wanted to throw your hands up?
Oh, yes. Numerous times. And there's sometimes that, and I'm being honest, I say, Lord, I don't want to go today. And he changes my heart. He really does. It's not that I don't want to go. It just may be I've worn myself down. I'm tired. I just would like to rest for a moment. But if in those moments, I just say, God, I need your strength. And instantly, it just seems like from the feet up, you just kind of beam up, and it's always worth it. It's always worth it no matter how tired you are. It is always worth every Friday. I see some of them more than I do some of my own family members. That's that's our little running joke there amongst our volunteers. We see these people more than some of our family members. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful what God's created. I've just been a vessel through it all, because, like I said, I didn't know what we were doing. I just know that there was a need. And you can always cook something and invoke a good memory with somebody. I'm sure you've got a good memory of your mama or your grandma cooking you something. And if you could just give somebody in a miserable situation just a little bit of hope, a little good thought, and we try to sneak that word in there. Not everybody wants to hear the word, but we sneak that word in there, kind of like you used to do with your broccoli and stuff with your kids, hide it in the food, and make them think they were eating corn dogs or something really they loved, and it's worked. I will say this. We've had quite a few to get baptized since we've started this. So that's what motivates me, just seeing God at work. And like I said, a lot of times it's on his strength that I come. It's never on mine, but there is.
Well, Ashley and I talk about it all the time. You just meet people you meet people with their need. and that's where you're meeting at their need, one bite at a time. And when you can sit and have a conversation with them while they eat, yeah, it changes things.
And two, I think we get caught up as Christians a lot of times. We want to try and in helping people, we want to try and change them.
Yeah.
And we just need to love people where they're at. And you're loving people where they're at. You don't care that they're homeless or unhoused. You don't care that they have a drug addiction. You don't care of anything that's going on in their life, that you just want to serve them. And I think that's a true testimony. I always tell, this is a great thing that I say to myself a lot, is especially with somebody that gets on my nerves, or somebody that I don't really like, or what, I don't want to say I don't like. I don't have anybody that I don't like, I guess. But, just I always go, that person is a soul. And you don't look at them as a person. You look at them as a soul. And it changes the way that you think about people when you look at them as a soul. It's kind of like when an airline pilot says, we have this many souls on board. It's not people on board, it's souls on board. And I think that is a great way. I think you look at people as souls, and Becky looks at people as souls. And we need to be better at that. I think the church needs to be better at looking at people as souls, and not as people that we got to get them saved and we got to get them in here. We're not trying to, I think we try to fix them instead of just serving them and letting the Lord fix them. So, has that been, what do you think is kind of one of the biggest, I said all that to say this, what do you think is one of the biggest things or ways that maybe the church, meaning the body of believers, could support people experiencing, being unhoused?
Definitely be praying for them.
Right.
I would say support the people who have built these relationships. Breaking Bread for Jesus or Soup Kitchen, they're great places that you can pour your time into, your sources, your money. My thing is, I think anybody, it don't matter whether it's the church or anybody, I think everybody deserves to be looked in the eye and smiled at. Yeah. And that is the one thing that each and every one of us can do, is look them in the eye and ask them how their day is. You never know how it might bless you. You might be surprised. It might bless you. You may think that you're going to be the blessing, but it'll probably end up blessing you more than likely.
Yeah, I love that bird singing in the background.
There comes my joy back again. But where I was going with it, it's like the Good Samaritan. Everybody walked across the street except that Good Samaritan, that walked and went and helped. And I think all of us, sometimes fear can keep us away just because someone doesn't look like us or smell like us or act like us. As Ashley said, we're all souls. Amen. Created in God's image, and God calls us to love people. We'll let God be the one to do the judging, and we need to not be those people. So I absolutely love what you do. I do. I absolutely love what you do, and all the people that you bring in. A lot of people, when they're in things like this, they kind of set themselves up, but you bring people in from. You see new people coming and helping you serve all the time.
And it started out, just basically Lake Bowen volunteers, because that's where we were, a little nucleus. But it has grown. Becky, they help us, and Daniel, they help us on Friday nights. They don't come from that church. We have numerous churches that come and help now, and I encourage anybody to come. We've had youth. We've had a lot of different places and we'll put you somewhere. We'll definitely put you somewhere.
Yeah.
Even like Miss Mary, she'll say, honey, I don't think that I'm helping. And I was, Miss Mary, just your presence here and loving on these people. And you would not believe the people that just come up and say, Miss Mary, we just want a hug from you, whether it be our volunteers or whether it be the people that we're helping. Mm-hmm. She loves them right where they're at. I'm talking about with a pure heart.
Make me cry again. Mary there's not many like Miss Mary. She is an absolute precious, precious, precious saint. She is.
What a great thing for youth groups to do, to come and help with serving. And just honestly, if they don't do anything but just watch, and people be the hands and feet of Jesus, but also to see how blessed they really are. I mean, especially my kids are spoiled, you know. Like you said, we've got so much, and we're not just a society of abundance. We're a society of overabundance. We have more than we need, way more than we would ever need, and we are just we're over consumers. You know, and I like to go to the bin store over in Spartanburg and, you know, dig through all this stuff that people have returned to Amazon. And I look at it sometimes and I think, I'm like, man, who's buying all this stuff? Number one. But number two, I'm like, who could use this instead of me buying something, you know, for myself and just heaping more junk on myself? Who could this be used for? Or how could this help somebody? Because it's like, man, it's like there's just, we buy and consume so much stuff and we throw away so many things. So we throw away so much. And I just go, wow. Like when I hear your stories and I hear Becky's stories, it makes me reevaluate why I have so many pairs of shoes and why I have, you know, lots and lots of earrings and, you know, silly things like that, that in the grand scheme of life are not eternal, but we get caught up in things like that. And there's people out here that are just needing a meal. And I don't think twice about going through the drive-through and getting me, you know, some chicken nugs and a Dr. Pepper. So,
well, I will tell you this. I look at tents differently now and sleeping bags. There's certain things that Tammy has needed before. My coats, I just drop them off at Lake Bowen. You know, Lake Bowen's got a big container that for anything for Anchor of Hope, you can just drop it off and put it there. But I look at, there's things like coats. I cannot imagine throwing a wet coat away or even giving it away to Goodwill at this point, because it will go to Lake Bowen. But I think, like you said, we have such an abundance that we forget. We've desensitized ourselves.
yeah.
Oh, that might not look as good or whatever. I've washed it. It's got a couple of nits on it or whatever. So I just get a new one. Yeah, it is. It's very
We'll
humbling.
take anything that you don't want, honey.
I know you
Definitely
will. I
will.
know you.
And let me say this, Ashley, back on what you were saying. We've had the youth come, and I've had some parents reach out to me and say, Tammy, I know that they might have not have done a whole lot in that hour and a half that they were there, but what you instilled in my child, what they got to see, how they don't have and they have an abundance, it's touched them. It's made a difference in their lives.
For
So you don't
sure.
ever know how God's working. You know, we think that we're trying to do something to bless them, but like I said, most of the time, more than likely, if you go out and do something, it's going to end up blessing you.
So
And
you take donations for clothing, not only just monetary, but you take clothing donations and sleeping bags, blankets, all that as well.
yes, ma'am,
You
we
take food
provide a
donations.
lot for them on the bus. Matter of fact, I tapped you off. This is our stuff that we put on our bus. This is like, you know, toiletries and sleeping bags, and we just keep adding stuff, umbrellas and jackets and
You
washcloths.
need to send us. You need to, you know, screenshot me a picture of that so we can put it on.
Yes, absolutely.
So we can put it on.
Send
And
that
you
in
know,
the
we
group.
were talking about the abundance of stuff and things being thrown away. I was fortunate enough that when I started this, I called Food Share, and since it said Food Share, I just assumed they were going to share some food with me. Like I said, I didn't have any expertise in this at all, but they have put me together with Spartanburg Regional Hospital, and all of the food that would have been thrown out and thrown in the dumpster, I go pick that up twice a week. Well, actually, some of my volunteers do. And so it stays out of the dumpster, and that's what we freeze, reheat on Fridays, and we add to it, or either we get real creative and put stuff together, but we create a meal each and every Friday with that. So we're also saving stuff that could have been thrown away too. So, but that was all God. That was nothing I done.
So you're serving every Friday.
We serve every Friday. In the
Wow.
beginning, we served every Friday, and then we turn around and serve breakfast on Saturday morning. But then groceries got expensive. So we dropped the Saturday morning because you have others that come out and feed. My main goal would be to, we have other angels that come out in the evening and feed other ministries. I would love for every night to be covered in the evening to where nobody had to go to bed hungry.
Mm.
Like, Invisible Ministries feeds on Tuesday nights. You've got Una First Free Will that serves a meal on Wednesday nights. We serve on Friday nights. First Presbyterian comes out on Thursday nights. So if we could have somebody cover every night, just think nobody go home or go to their little location and be hungry at all. I think
And I
that'd be
will tell you this, Chesney has a huge, huge homeless population.
Mhm.
People don't realize that, but in this small town, we have a lot. We have several homeless camps that I know where people know where they're at. It's
Mhm.
not uncommon knowledge. Man, what how awesome it would be to have something here for.
Well, actually, you got something there. Mary Moffat, who kind of helped me. That's
Yes,
this,
yes, I do
this
remember
that's
that.
this Mary I'm talking about that we started
Okay.
off with in our Bible study. She comes out on Wednesday nights, the best I understand, and
Okay,
she
she's still
also
doing
teaches on
that. Okay.
Saturdays in Spartanburg. So she's been an angel and a blessing too to this community.
Yay. Well, good, good. Okay. I remember they used to feed in Cada Park a good bit, but I wasn't sure if they were still doing it or not. Yay. Well, that's awesome. Good to know.
So I want to ask a question about boundaries. What kind of boundaries do you set? That was a hard question for Becky to answer. She set them, but it's a hard line to draw how far you go.
Well, if you ask my volunteers and my board members, they'd say I don't got no boundaries.
I
And
kind of knew
sometimes
that.
I have to tell them, do as I say, not as I do. I'll say, y'all don't be putting them in the car with you. And it's not that it's an unsafe situation. As you said, we do have people who are on drugs. So, we've had an incident where we've stuck somebody in the car and left some of their little paraphernalia behind. And if you got pulled over, you would never be able to explain that you picked up a homeless person and it belonged to them. I'm sure they've probably heard that story before, and it might be true, but you're probably not going to get off on those. And it's just, we deal with a lot of mental illness, so I don't really got no boundaries. I don't reckon. I'm going to say that wherever God gives me discernment, I take a step back.
Okay.
So I look for His discernment. I don't want to put boundaries on stuff because what I might would do for one, I might not would do for the other. And it's not that it's anything against them. It's just their personal struggle, and I
Mhm.
have to be safe on my own self.
Sure.
So you
Yeah.
kind of learn what you need to do, but you
Well, and I
know,
think you said it. The key to your answer was is discernment. You do what the Lord allows you to do,
yeah,
and when you get that check, you step back.
yeah. And I'm thankful that He gives it to me. Otherwise I'd probably be very vulnerable in this situation. But I
For
mean,
sure.
I always leave here feeling protected. I always say a prayer on my way down there. I'm always praying over our city, over our homeless, over our leaders, and over the volunteers. You don't want to bring a bunch of people together and something bad happen. And we've been blessed that that's never been the case. It's always
Mhm.
full of love. You can most
Well, and
going
I think,
most get hugged.
yeah. Well, I think it's that God confidence too. You know you're doing it. God knows your heart.
Mm,
And I think that's the key when we do things with the purest of hearts. Even we're sinners saved by grace, but even the purest of hearts, God's honoring that. God's blessing that. I mean, I see where, things are getting, like you said, you have 2 buses now. I mean, God is definitely blessing the ministry. So you're doing something right, sis. You're doing something right.
I
Yeah.
agree. And it brings
Yeah.
you more attention. Here's the thing that I've had to struggle with. It brings you more attention than what you kind of want. And, you know, um, I'm having to learn that this attention's a good thing because, I've not always walked this life. And sometimes before I was saved, you don't want people focusing on the things that you do because it might not always be the good things. So it's been a learning experience to have people kind of watching what you do, even though I live differently now. But just last week we had Congressman William Timmons that's reached out and wants to learn a little bit more about what we do. And I have to admit that, when you got somebody like that, there's a little bit of trepidation there, like I don't know. I'm not much on the attention thing. So stuff like
I saw that.
this.
I saw that when you had to wear your ball gown to receive an award.
Hmm.
Yeah, I saw it. Don't think it goes unnoticed.
But when the enemy throws that back at you, Tammy, and says, you're not good enough, reminds you of your past, you just say, that's not who I am anymore. And you keep on moving. You keep on moving forward, and you don't let that deter you, because everybody's got a past. Some's worse than others, but you keep moving forward because you're doing great things. You're doing great things. So how do you keep from getting so overwhelmed, though? Because I feel like, I'm going to be honest, I would totally be overwhelmed doing that I'm just being honest. Like, I'm transparency 100%. Every Friday night, that's a lot. How do you keep from being overwhelmed? Even though you're doing it for the Lord and you've been doing this every Friday night for years, how do you keep that check and balance and not go, okay, I need a break?
Well, I mean, I do sometimes say I need a break, but it's very rarely. I wish I could say it was just a Friday thing. They'll call me during the week and I'll go make my trips around town and deliver stuff there too. But, when I get overwhelmed, I just kind of take a step back and I get back in God's word to remind me of who I am and that I do need him. And this is his ministry. This isn't mine. I'm just a vessel that he's using simply. And when you know that it's all on him, I mean, I guess when I got a problem, that's who I go to. It's my boss man, and I take it up with him. But for the most part, I lay it down at his feet each and every time that it gets to be too much. And that's every day, I mean, life's just tough,
Yeah.
Some of the things that, kind of comes your way it's just life, it's not bad things. It's just life, I got tickled because somebody said, life's life. And I said, well, God's still God. He's still being God. And sometimes we have to go through stuff, much as we don't want to. I'm the biggest one to say that. For us to be able to see, just where he's at. Because if it was all good and everything, we'd never be able to see where he stepped in and he saved us. Or he's allowed that grace, or he's allowed this person to come in and work through him to work through them. I said that backwards, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming and visiting with us. I mean, seriously, I just love I love you, and you know that, but I just love what you do. I love how you love other people so well, and you don't have a checklist that you have to do this, and this for you to love them. You love them right where they are, and that means the world to everybody, especially us on the outside looking in. And I can only imagine what it does them. Yeah. Actually, I wish you could have seen that wedding though at church.
Oh, I bet that would have been awesome.
Sweet. She sat on one side of the church and he sat on the other it was a sweet wedding. Yeah. It was.
Aww. Well, I'm glad I got to meet you like over, a video call, but I can't wait to meet you in person and, hug your neck.
I love that. I love that.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, send us. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to send us like ways people can donate, what they can donate. Send us that list and we'd love to publish it on our page so we can share that with everybody. If you've got like a Venmo or a Cash App or a place that they can donate, we want to share those as well for anybody that would like to donate. And you share this with your people. Let them know, hey, I'm over here talking to Ashley and Blair. and that way they have they can learn a little bit more about Anchor of Hope too, and see where your heart is, because that makes such a big difference when they see your heart. They see you posting, but when they see your heart, it makes such a big difference. So I'm excited to see that and see what sorry, somebody is messaging me and it's playing automatically and I can't stop it. So sorry y'all. Sorry.
No,
Goodness, I can't put it off. I cannot make it. Okay, there we go.
That is so funny.
Goodness, sorry.
That is so funny.
Oh my word! I just look down and I see her just steady talking. I'm like, oh my goodness, sorry. Listen,
we know
over here most days, Tammy.
We know what Ashley's junk is.
Oh my gosh.
That is
Hmm.
so
Yes, my phone. That's my junk. She's literally over here just steady talking. I hope y'all can't hear, but I've tried to turn it down as low as I can talk. Turn it down.
That's so
Anyway.
funny. That's
So
funny.
yes, send us all your info, Tammy, because I
Yeah.
would love to be able to share that with our viewers and our millions of listeners.
That's our dream, Tammy. We don't. That's okay. We just,
You gonna get there. God'll get you girls there. You
we're
hold
good.
tight.
We're good.
Speaking
Whoever,
of existence, you know.
yeah. We ask for one a week. That's what we ask for. It's just one a week. So we're
Right.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
He don't
We're
want
good.
you to get overwhelmed right yet.
There you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He's trying to keep us humble. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so. Well, listen, what's that? Somebody want to talk about some junk? Tammy, you got any junk to talk about?
Junk to talk about. No, I really
Good for
don't.
you. Good for
I,
you.
I mean, just kind of stinking thinking, you know. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
daily thing, you know.
That's a good one.
Try to
Yeah.
get rid of that. But that's a daily battle.
That is, and well, we are on the same sheet of music because that is mine, is the stinking thinking. I have been there. The past Ashley knows well. I've talked to her before this, but that's my thing too, is I allow my mind to go where it does not need to go.
Mhm.
I think about stuff I don't need to think about. So
Yeah.
I'm putting my foot down on it today. Yeah.
Well,
got
you
any
know,
junk,
sometimes
Ash?
I just say, Lord, change my thinking. And it's
Yeah.
a miracle how he just instantly will do that sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Well, you're much more obedient than I am.
I don't know about that, Blair.
Well, we have to take captive our thoughts. We have to be
We
like,
do. We
I got
do.
captive, because you know sometimes we think that our thoughts a lot of times are, you know, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that, and you know sometimes the enemy lets things come through our mind, and we just gotta say, I ain't thinking that way. Not gonna do it today. Sorry, not happening.
There you go.
I mean, my junk is the fact that I can't go one podcast without my phone ringing or doing something. It feels like sometimes. So that's my junk today. I'm gonna throw this phone out the window. I'm just gonna take it and just chunk it right behind me.
You do that. That is your business and livelihood, sister.
Oh my goodness, I'm over it today. Over it.
I know it.
But yes,
I know.
but I'm so thankful that you hung out with us this afternoon, and I'm coming. I'm coming to help y'all serve one night. So send me all the info. Let me know what I need to do.
Okay.
And
Hey,
I'll
if anybody don't, if you don't get the info, you just show up at 5:30 at 406 Stevens Street, and we will put you to work doing something.
Girl, you better
praying and loving with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love it.
Tables are set up. People got their gloves on, ready to serve food.
Mhm.
I love
for
that.
sure. I do
love
too.
it.
Well,
Down.
Tammy, we appreciate you.
I appreciate you girls.
Yeah.
Yes,
man.
we're so thankful you're here, and y'all, thank y'all for listening, and we love y'all big.
Okay, and praying Jesus is your joy.
Bye, guys.